Spoiler warning, to those who have not seen Spider-Man Brand New Day, I recommend you watch the movie before watching this video. Now, roll my intro. What's up, Hondo Nation? Lord Hondoku is back with another movie review, and this one is on this guy, Spider-Man. Spider-Man Brand New Day literally was one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen, and I definitely consider it as being the best movie of this year. And me and my bros really did enjoy it, and we even saw it in 3D, which was totally worth it. Now, there was a lot to unpack with this movie, and I hope you guys enjoy this. So, let's start off with the first thing, the story. The story was really emotional, street level, and grounded, and which I really did love because we needed another grounded Spider-Man story that does not feature any multiversal shenanigans and stuff. And I love this. As you know, the story takes place 4 years after Spider-Man No Way Home. The world forgot Peter Parker, but hasn't forgotten Spider-Man. Peter is now adjusting to his new life in his new apartment and becoming Spider-Man full-time. And best of all, Peter started his very own lab, which the caretaker of the apartment literally gave to him that he can use. And Peter said it was perfect. And so Peter made his own lab and developed his very own AI helper called Evie. And fun fact, Evie is voiced by Naomi Campbell, who played Tom Holland's on-screen mom in the movie The Impossible, which is Tom Holland's first acting role. I bet you guys didn't know that, right? But it's true, Naomi Campbell is the voice of Peter's new AI helper in Brand New Day. And now, from what we've seen from the montage, Peter has been constantly saving New York from multiple threats. Scorpion, Tombstone, stopping bank robberies, the list goes on. And of course, he always rounds up his day with getting flowers to bring to Aunt May's grave, since we know we've lost Aunt May in No Way Home. All thanks to Green Goblin. That's a lot, Norman. And yeah, after all the lives Peter has been saving, the public loves Spider-Man. Kinda like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where the public already loved the web slinger. And the best of all, Peter got the key to the city. But beneath all of that, Peter still hasn't felt satisfied, considering so many things he's lost. Mainly his best friend Ned Leeds, and of course the love of his life, Michelle Jones, MJ. But then one day, Peter demanded to see Ned again, and he was getting ready for this party, considering he and MJ got accepted into MIT. And from what we can see throughout all the montage, and the months and years have passed, I think it was probably months, Ned and MJ officially became seniors at MIT and are on their way to graduating, which eventually I think they did graduate. They eventually did graduate, and they started throwing a party. Peter, of course, attended that party, and my buddy Michael thought Peter had to be invited to that, and he just can't walk in, but I guess everyone is welcome. And when he gets into the party, Peter also notices that Ned has been watching Spider-Man for a while now, trying to uncover who he truly is. He then meets with Ned again, even though they have no memory of it. Peter remembers him, but Ned doesn't remember him. Yet. He explained it to Peter about how he's been trying to track Spider-Man. And of course, Peter also meets up with MJ again. And you know, it ain't Spider-Man that Peter isn't acting awkward. Because you don't know, Peter Parker has to be awkward. And of course, the sad part of that scene is when MJ got herself a new boyfriend, which, of course, broke Peter's heart, which forced him himself to leave and excuse himself. He started swinging home with his web shooters. He got back home, but then he gets a strange change in his body, and that means his spider powers are beginning to mature. And then out of nowhere, Peter's eyes begin to turn black. He starts feeling dizzy and then passes out. And the next morning, Peter finds himself in a web cocoon made out of organic webbing. Tom Holland's Spider-Man officially has organic webbing, just like Tobey Maguire in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Of course, Peter now had to adapt to his new powers, and of course, which was so embarrassing, he now had to find some new change of clothes. And of course, he did get some new clothes, but unfortunately, those two clothes that he bought belonged to his two neighbors, and they were girls' clothes. And oh my god, that scene was so hilarious. Me and my boys could not stop laughing. And so with that, Peter needed to get help. And of course, Peter also gets a call from DeWolf and he tells her what's going on. And I did like the fact that they added Jane DeWolf to the MCU, because the last time I seen Jane DeWolf was pretty much in the Spider-Man 3 video game, on the PS3 version, that is. And so, yeah, Peter explained to DeWolf what was going on, and DeWolf pretty much told Peter whatever it is, he needs to get that fixed. And of course, we also had to deal with a big crime, another attack on damage control, and Peter had to deal with someone having a tank and causing mayhem across the Big Apple. And of course, we also had someone else part of the Spider-Man story. Frank Castle himself, the Punisher. And guys, let me tell you this, the comedy between Peter and Frank was hilarious throughout the whole movie. And I loved it. Yep. And when Frank was about to drop an F-bomb, Peter shot a web shot right at his mouth out, stopping him from dropping an F-bomb. and Frank pulled out another rocket launcher from his hand and was like, "Suit yourself." But eventually, Peter did stop that tank, and it's revealed to be an old lady driving it because someone was messing with her mind, and then some mysterious force who was talking through the old lady's mind was talking to Peter. And, giving him a huge lecture and all that. But, during that Scorpion was being transferred to a different prison, and whoever this mysterious force was using telepathy to transfer her mind into other people. And this eventually led the Scorpion being transferred somewhere else. And then the mysterious force who got her hands on one of the guards tried to get into Peter's head. But luckily Peter was able to fight back and stop the force. But then the mysterious force told Peter that inside that tank was a bomb, which Peter couldn't arrive in time to stop it. But now, the wolf arrived and made sure that everyone, and Peter asked the wolf if everyone was okay. She confirmed everyone was fine, and now Peter really needed to find out who that person was that was trying to get into his head. But Peter knew exactly who to talk to, and that person turned out to be Yelena, Black Widow's adopted sister, and the new Black Widow. So, but we already known. Oh, Yelena, her office had to be a hot tub, and Peter did manage to get some help from Yelena, and of course Yelena described her Avenger level threats as big potato stuff, which is basically Avenger level threats in her own words. I still can't believe she called that big potato stuff. But in the end, Peter did get some help. He decides to go to damage control and talk with the director of damage control. The director did tell Peter that he needed to take care of this, and he trusted Spider-Man. But Peter did ask the director of damage control about VMAX. That'll be important later. But the director, he had no knowledge of it, and was like. So with that, Peter went to take care of this problem. But of course, his new Arrival Metamorphosis was still an issue. And the next time he had to face off against Scorpion, it started to take control of him. But first, now that he can't use the new web shooters, he had to adapt to his new organic webbing. And of course, that scene was also hilarious because Peter constantly kept on crashing into water towers, into different buildings. He got pigeons all over him. He crashes into signs. And next time he faced off against Scorpion, he was struggling. But then the arachnid side of Peter started to take control, and he started dog walking Scorpion. And that scene was intense. It even got to the point where Peter got so feral, he pulled off Scorpion's tail and used it to literally destroy a police cruiser. And when Peter woke up, he realized that he went too far and almost hurt a cop. And with that, Peter realized he really needed someone who had to deal with this type of stuff. And what better person to go to than the world famous gamma scientist himself, and of course, the Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner. And Peter then goes to Bruce Banner for help. He then explained the pain to Peter. Peter explained to Bruce that he was dealing with some sort of metamorphosis, and it's something like Bruce was dealing with whenever he had to transform into the Hulk. And Bruce basically showed Peter he made an inhibitor that he made himself to prevent him from turning into the Hulk. And with that, with the advice that Peter got from Bruce, Peter decided to make his own inhibitor so he can and suppress the arachnid side of him from taking control. Oh. He tried out the first test, but it turned out to be a failure. And once again, another civilian and who had been possessed by another by the mysterious force starts talking to Peter and telling him that they're actually alike, and that that he's going after that the force is going after MJ. Peter knew he had to. Peter decided to change the force, who was transferring using telepathy from going from different person to person. Peter got his way there to MJ's apartment and told MJ that she's in danger. With that, MJ decided, sure, I'll go with you. But luckily they got away. But then there was something that you guys also had to know. MJ slowly was starting to remember Peter. The moment she removed the mask, we all thought she finally remembered after they shared that kiss. But it was all a ruse because that mysterious force got a hold of MJ and tried to kill her by jumping off of that building. Peter managed to save her. He used his own body to cushion her fall, and I also got a little scared because I thought MJ died because I literally thought we were gonna get another Spider-Man 2. Another Amazing Spider-Man 2 thing, with Andrew Garfield feeling to save Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy, but it has been revealed that MJ was fine. Then this mysterious cab driver gave Peter this piece of paper, which has turned out to be the letter Peter wrote. Then Peter realized he needed to keep MJ safe. So with that, what better way to go? Oh, then the one guy he constantly had the butt heads with, the Punisher. Peter makes his way to Hank's own hideout, which he hides out on the port side. Of course, Peter and Frank also had to engage with each other, and Frank did allow MJ to stay with him until Peter fixes this. But then eventually, Peter finally got the identity of the mysterious force that had been using telepathy to take control of people's mind, and almost his. And that has been revealed to be, spoiler guys, spoiler, if you don't want to hear this, is stop watching or skip ahead. The mysterious force is none other than Jean Grey. Yep, we're getting the X-Men in the MCU real soon, guys. Jean Grey being added into this movie is a sign. So, yep, it was Jean Grey. It was Jean Grey herself. And of course, after chilling in Frank's place, MJ did manage to help Peter. He had to fix his inhibitor chip made for him, and it actually worked. The inhibitor chip actually worked, and because all because Frank had the materials Peter needed to fix this thing. Not only that, Jean revealed that he wanted to take revenge on Damage Control for what she did to her sister Sarah, who also had telepathy just like her. From what we've seen in the flashback, Sarah was captured by Damage Control and killed by Damage Control in a desperate act to save Jean. Sarah used her telepathy to protect her. And of course, when Damage Control was all held hostage by Jean, Jean even had captured Bruce and forced him to do her bidding. And of course, Bruce slowly started to become, you know, oh, Smart Hulk again. He was in a Smart Hulk state. And Frank also had to back up Peter in this whole fight, cause MJ convinced and ordered Frank to help Peter, which he did. And of course, Jean did get a hold of Frank, and she looked into his mindset and he said, this man has a lot of issues. Which is also true, cause we all know the story of the Punisher, but we'll move on to that later. Peter did manage to help Bruce revert back, but then it finally happened, guys. Bruce couldn't control the Hulk anymore, and now that his inhibitor is off his arm, he couldn't control the Hulk. And we finally got him back, guys. We finally got Savage Hulk. We finally got him back. And I couldn't be any more happy. And Bruce finally said it when he returned the form into the Hulk. He said, "No more Banner, just Hulk." And of course, Peter had to fight the Hulk, which he did manage to get the chip onto Hulk and managed to defeat him. And he managed to talk to Bruce and managed to reason with him. And Peter even used one of Shocker's gauntlets to take him on, which was really cool. But in the end, Bruce did calm down. He fell. Peter tried to save him. But, and again, it's the Hulk. Bruce survived that fall. And in the end, Peter went to say the director of damage control and the rest of the damage control agents from Jean. But eventually Jean gets knocked out with a tranquilizer dart and captured and sent to another facility. But everything seemed to be fine. And Peter finally returned back to MJ at Frank's place. And MJ finally saw the letter that Peter wrote, and she began to remember. And Peter finally took off the mask, revealing himself to her, and Peter explained everything that he's been through and everything that happened before he made the spell. And unfortunately, this is also one of the saddest scenes ever, when Angie told Peter that she doesn't love him. But I still think there is a still sliver of hope that MJ still remembers Peter. Eventually, Peter does take MJ home. Ned also arrives, and he finally meets Spider-Man. And of course, the three of them get the bond, kind of like old times, which is reminiscent to before the spell. But then, just when you thought it was all over, it wasn't. Cause now Jean finally was gonna do one more thing. So Peter had to stop Jean right now before she ends up killing everybody. As she now created a whole telepathy barrier, psychic barrier, all around the area of New York. Peter makes his way to the facility where Jean was taken and now has a director of damage control hostage. And beneath all that, Peter finally faced off against the Hand, and which is the coolest thing ever because I was super excited to see Peter fight the Hand. And finally, Peter finally adapted to his arachnid side and his organic webbing and took them down like a real. Well, also cracking jokes because you already know it ain't Spider-Man and Peter. It's Spider-Man don't crack a joke. And what I also found really cool is that Peter did the web blossom around the Hand, which is definitely a reference to Marvel Spider-Man, the video game. Of course, Peter makes his way to Jean. Jean tells Peter to stop, and if he moves, everyone, including the director, will die. But luckily, Peter did manage to stop Jean, and Jean then forced herself into Peter's head. Peter did let her, and there we have the memory of Peter and May talking, which was really awesome, really emotional, and I loved. And there, May finally got to talk to Jean, and Jean realized that all this is for nothing, and she realized that if she did this, she would end up regretting it for the rest of her life. And Peter managed to talk to her and tell her that there's another way that she can do this. But then, out of nowhere, Frank took matters into his own hands, takes a shot. Peter essays Jean and takes the bullet. But luckily, Frank managed to get Peter to the hospital just in time to save him. And I just would like to say Peter, because he was in critical condition, the people of New York were all scared for their web slinger, so everyone started lighting candles, making banners, and praying for Spider-Man, making sure that he survives this. In the end, using her powers, Jean managed to save Peter because she would feel so bad if New York lost their hero. And luckily, Peter was able to be saved. And in order to save him, Frank puts on the mask, making everyone believe that he was Spider-Man. Peter leaves the hospital after being discharged, and yeah, Michael found Frank putting on the mask very funny, which it was. Peter recovers, and he does call the Wolf again, telling that everything is okay, but the Wolf encouraged Peter to take it easy, and that she'll take care of these other crimes. But Peter said he could still do it, but, you know, the Wolf, who also cares about Peter's well-being, does want him to be safe. But then another bank robbery happens. Peter puts on the mask one last time. And then, after the credits, before the credits roll, Peter meets up with Ned once again. He reintroduces himself, and then Peter and Ned did their famous handshake. Ned remembers that handshake because with that, he finally remembered Peter after all that time. Yep, no spell could ever break their friendship. Peter Parker and Ned Leeds are homies from day one. And finally, we got the biggest reveal after the credits, a post-credit scene. Ned Spidey Tracker found a mysterious anomaly of another Spider-Man, and it zoomed that into space, and we found another Spidey. We don't know who it is, but at the end, it said Spider-Man will return. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Spider-Man Brand New Day was by far one of the best movies I've ever seen. In amazing story, amazing action scenes, the comedy was also top tier, and the emotions were just as great and heart-wrenching. Now tell me, guys, what did you think about Spider-Man Brand New Day? Did you love it or did you enjoy it? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. And with that, it's Lord on Doku signing off.